KZN Police Commissioner Lt.Gen Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi is expected to give an account of the work that has been done by police in the province to curb crime in the past financial year. He'll also give an update on the current investigations on high-profile cases. During the briefing, the provincial commissioner will also outline plans for the Easter holidays operation plan.
Millions of citizens that we have out there, so they get to understand exactly what are we doing with their tax money. So we gather here today in trying to fulfill the mandate that we are given by the Constitution to make sure that the people and the inhabitants of the Republic feel safe at all times. That's why we felt that it is important for us to come here today so that you can appraise yourself as well as the public about the state of policing in KwaZulu-Natal. You all know that we have been giving a crime stats report on a quarterly basis. That's starting from the beginning of the financial year, which is the 1st of April, which ends at the end of March. But unfortunately, what we're going to brief you on is the state of policing for the first 9 months. Reason being, the stats of crime for the last quarter, the fourth quarter, has not been made public as yet by the minister. So therefore, we cannot engage on that. We'll be able to brief you once the minister is pronounced on that. The state has been audited and finalized and then made public. Only thereafter we can be able to communicate. Just last week, we were briefing the legislature in KwaZulu-Natal with regard to the stats, the crime stats, and the state of policing in general that we have in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. So what we have here today is just to appraise you about the state of policing in this province. The period we're going to cover, it's April up until December, as I said, which is a 9 months period. We are not showing you the picture as it's normally communicated to you, which is on a quarterly basis, but we are showing you an overall consolidation of what happened from the 1st of April last year until end of December, which is a 9 months period. As you can see, our crime that we've been tracking, 17 community reported crime that we've been tracking as a province. In order for us to have a long-term vision of where we're going, it's important for us to evaluate our performance over time so that we can plan properly. So that's why we are reflecting here the figures as you see, which figures will cover the period. Let me get a point here quickly. Oh, okay, no, I've messed up this presentation. The period that is going to cover, as I said, okay, now I've got a pointer. The period that we're going to cover, as you can see, we are tracking April to December for the period of since 2020. So we have 2020, 2021, 22, 23, and 24. So that should give you an indication of how crime looks like in the province of KwaZulu-Natal as we are busy trying everything we can to try and reduce this level of crimes. So if we pay attention on most concerning, we talk about the total contact crimes that we have been registering in the province. If you look at during the COVID times, everyone always say, this has been the ideal situation that we want to have in the country during COVID, where liquor is not being sold in numbers and a lot of places of entertainment being restricted and so forth. Yeah, well, that has got a negative thing that it affects business, the growth of the country, but it has helped us in terms of reduction of crime. So when you look at the total figures on contact crime, in 2020, we're sitting at 65,685 cases that were registered. As you can see, bulk of them are coming as a result of assaults. So these assaults are most common when people gather and having some fun and they end up assaulting each other. So that in terms of contact crime remains the biggest contributor for us right across all these years. As you can see, we moved from a figure of 65,000 cases to 88,000 cases in this past financial year. For the first 9 months. So that shows you the increase in terms of the number of contact crimes that have been registered in the province. Of course, This increase largely, as I said, is between assaults, those two figures, 17,000 and 15,000 respectively in terms of common and the assault GPH. If you refer that to what we have at this present moment, there's 24,000 cases in relation to assault GPH and 22,000 cases in relation to assault common. They remain the biggest contributor in terms of overall conduct crime. Whilst the concerns in the main, in terms of our crime, we look at murder in general. In 2020, we recorded 3,501 cases in this province, and we are now at 4,278 cases. So from 2020, the graph, it shows if you compare 2020 and this past financial year, we have more incidents of murders as compared to what we had in 2020. But of course, you might say that there were a lot of restriction on people's movements in 2020, so the target was not there in the main, which is human beings. So this time around, the target is available. So when we compare, we look at other years also, not just in 2020 alone. So if you look at our peak in terms of murders, where in 2022, we started seeing a sharp increase in 2021, where we moved from 3,500 cases to 4,800, and it moved to 5,300 cases in 2022. And we then started seeing a decline of cases from 5,300 to 4,800, and it has gone down from 4,800 to 4,200. As we are counting, we have seen a reduction of 558 murder cases that have been registered in our province. So this is a positive thing for us. I'm not going to go through all of them, just reflecting on some of the crimes that are affecting society in general. So I want to also draw your attention on the sexual related cases, especially looking at cases of rape, sexual assault, attempted sexual offenses, and so forth. While rape remains the biggest problem for us, at the total, when we started in 2020, we registered more rape cases than we registered murders in 2020. So as you can see, 4,954 cases were recorded in 2020. Well, the question is to why? Could be because people were all locked indoors. That's why we started seeing that sharp increase on rape cases and so forth. That's subject to some analysis out there that can be done, research that can be done to try and establish the causative factors. But we've seen the increase on rape also in 2021 to 5,885 cases, as it's reflected on the screen. And again in 2022, still an increase of rape cases up to 6,338 cases. And from there, we then started seeing a slight decline. But the decline is not to our satisfactory. It is a decrease, yes, but it's not in relation to what we will want to see as the citizen of the province, as well as the law enforcement, especially within this province. In 2023, we had recorded 6,146 cases, which is a slight decrease on cases. And again, in the past 9 months of last year, the first 9 months of this current financial year, we started April to December last year, there are 6,000 cases that were recorded. It's still a big number in relation to what we had recorded in 2020. As you can see, 6,000 cases is still pretty much more than almost 5,000 cases that were recorded in 2020. So we're still concerned about this. But when we measure the previous year and this year, that's why you're going to see the negative 1.8, which seems to look positive. But when you look over a long term, it's not necessarily positive. But it's something that we feel we must be transparent about, because we are working towards something. We want to see if we can take our crime figures back to the days that we've experienced in 2020, despite the fact that the perpetrator is out there freely, the victim is out there freely, and the opportunity for crime to happen, it's that big, because people, they go about their own businesses on daily basis. So there are chances of crime, of people being affected in crime. I'm going to draw you also on the most concerning crimes of carjacking, robberies at residential and non-residential, which we always refer to as trio crime. As you can see, a total of these cases in the main were 7,823. Those are the trio crimes. And the increase in 2021 to 8,000 cases. In 2022, they were in double digits, 10,000 cases that we started counting in thousand, because we've been counting in thousand. And in 2023, we started dropping again through police interventions and many other counterparts, I must say, that has been working well with us to try and reduce the type of crime. We are now, at this present moment, having about 7,855 cases. As you can see on all of them across the board, the biggest decrease that we are seeing is what has happened with regard to hijackings in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. In the year before, 2023, we had 2,500 cases. It has gone down to 2,052 cases, which seen a reduction of 497 cases. It is a concern, the hijackings, because the majority of the time, when a hijacking happens, it leads into some of the contact crimes that you report above, where people get assaulted, attempted murders, as well as murders in some instances, which is a concern for us. But I felt that it's important for everyone to reflect on what is here. When you look at the rest of the crimes as reflected on the screen, well, some of it might look good, some of it might look bad. But when you look at the totals, here's the total 17 community reported crimes. The totals gives us a green picture. So we'll look at this and we say, we're all good. Yes, it's a positive thing. But this positive comes from comparing what happened a year, the same reporting period in 2023 as compared to the same reporting period in 2024. We had 191,000 cases in total, and this time around we had 186,000 cases, which shows a reduction of just over 5,000 cases. But again, these 186,000 cases are still much more than what we saw in 2020 of 163. So while we are seeing an improvement in terms of this, but we want to see a decline in overall that's going to take us to the totals that at least we could say we could achieve back then. So quickly on the graph, as it stands here between April to December, you can see the illustration of the graph, how the crime over period in 2020, how it's been going up and how it's coming down. So this is basically a simulation of the total 17 community reported crime in one line, as you can see, just to make it clearer for you, that while we are seeing a decrease, but this decrease is not enough to reach the level that we had experienced back in 2021 financial year. As I said, the biggest contribution of crime might not be what perhaps the citizen think it is. It's cases that you might take for granted, where people assault each other, common assault, which leads into a case being registered. So the more of those, the more our caseload goes up. You might argue that it's not complicated to get them finalized in court, but the bottom line is they contribute on the numbers of cases that we record in this province of KwaZulu-Natal and the country at large. So therefore it's important for you to pay attention that we are not necessarily talking about murders, rapes and everything as the biggest volumes, but the biggest volume comes here. You get rid of this, you might then be convinced that the crime is going down in the province, which is a good thing. But perhaps the crimes that are really going down are not that significant in terms of impacting the people's security, feeling of safety in the province, because it talks about assault in general and maybe theft there and there, which does not necessarily happen in the presence of a person. They will steal while you are not at home. So it might not traumatize you as much as robbery is concerned. Conduct crime, this is a total, as I've shown you earlier. This is just a line to show you. But this conduct crime, as I say again, is not just murders, attempted murders. There is also a lot of assaults that are part of this. That's why the graph keeps going up. There are many contributing factors, and I've said to you, when people gather in one place, there's likelihood that there's going to be commotion and there's going to be conflict, and which might lead into assaults. There are many causal factors for that. Murders, that's what we're trying to mitigate in our province as much as we can, by identifying the people that are behind these murders and trying to remove them from society and send them to correctional facilities, so that you can have a reduction in terms of murders. So you've seen in 2021, we started our graph here and it went straight up in 2022 and it's starting to come down slowly. We are not there yet where we want to be. But we feel the more we decrease on this, the more positive the society is going to be. The feeling of safety might start creeping in, because at least a person will know that even if you come and steal something from me, but the likelihood of you harming me so much that you even kill me is going to be less. We not say that we're going to appreciate people stealing, but it becomes bad if you steal and you rape, you steal and you murder. Take whatever you take and you run away. And it's always better that you don't disturb a person. Robbery versus theft. You would prefer theft than robbery, but it still remains a crime on both of them. We don't want crime in total, but you rather not impact that much on the feeling of safety of a person than as we are effecting those type of criminal activities. These usually are crimes that are happening between people that know each other. There are instances, of course, where people don't know each other. A person get attacked into their house while they're busy with other type of crime and end up in a rape. But in general, it happens amongst people that know each other. Yes, it's been up, and we can be comfortable and say we are seeing a decline, but this is still not acceptable at all, because people get affected. Those that become victims of this type of crime, they're left with scars that you cannot fix for life. So it's something that you need to deal with. I spoke about trio crime, that it's quite a good thing that you went up and it's sharply going down. Hopefully people can then enjoy having their asset not being affected by criminals, not being stolen and the likes. Carjackings, as you can see, robberies,